I stared at my phone screen, reading the text message for the third time. My hands weren't shaking. Not anymore. At 72 years old, I'd learned that some heartbreaks don't make you tremble. They just make you cold. Mom, we've talked about this. Crystal and I just want a peaceful Christmas with the family this year. The kids need stability. All your drama is too much. It's better if you don't come. My son Brandon. My firstborn. The baby I'd nursed through pneumonia when he was 6 months old, staying up for 3 nights straight in that tiny apartment on the south side. The boy I'd worked double shifts at the hospital for, making sure he could go to that good high school, then college, then business school. I typed back with steady fingers. Enjoy. That was it. One word. Because what else was there to say? I set my phone down on my kitchen table, the same table where I'd served Brandon and his sister Sunday dinners for 40 years, the same table where I'd helped him with his homework, where we'd planned his wedding, where I'd held my grandbabies for the first time. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Brandon. Mom, don't be like this. You're making everything harder than it needs to be. I didn't respond. What Brandon didn't know, what none of them knew, was that 3 months ago, my lawyer had called with news that changed everything. My Uncle Earl's estate had finally settled. Uncle Earl, my mother's brother, who'd moved to California in the 1960s and bought property in what became Silicon Valley. Uncle Earl, who'd never married, never had children, and who'd left everything to me. $12 million. I hadn't told a soul. Not Brandon, not my daughter Alicia, not even my best friend from church, Sister Ruth. Because in the past year, I'd learned exactly what my children thought of me. Before we continue, please tell us where you're watching from so we know how far our stories reach, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Let me take you back to where this really started. January of this year, right after New Year's. I'd retired from nursing after 45 years. I'd raised 2 children alone after their father walked out when they were 8 and 10. I'd paid for weddings, helped with down payments, babysat my grandchildren every week. I'd lived modestly in the same house in Chatham I'd bought in 1982, never asking for anything in return. I thought I'd spend my retirement traveling a little, volunteering at church, spoiling my grandbabies Kyla and Isaiah. Simple pleasures. Then I fell and broke my hip in February. That's when everything changed. I was in the hospital for surgery, then rehab for 6 weeks. I needed help at home after that, just for a month or 2 while I got my strength back. Brandon lived 20 minutes away. Alicia lived in Atlanta, but she'd always been my baby girl. I thought they'd step up. Mom, we're so busy with work, Brandon said when he visited me in the hospital. He was wearing a suit that cost more than my monthly mortgage. Crystal's got her real estate business. I've got the firm. The kids have activities every single day. We just can't take you in right now. I'm not asking to move in, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Just some help, grocery shopping, rides to physical therapy. Maybe someone to check on me every few days. Crystal stood behind Brandon, scrolling through her phone. She didn't even look up. What about hiring a home health aide? Brandon suggested. I can help you look into it. I don't need a stranger, I said. I need my family. Don't be dramatic, Mom, Crystal finally spoke, her voice sharp. You're being unreasonable. We have lives. Brandon nodded. She's right. We'll figure something out. But you need to be realistic about what we can offer. My daughter Alicia was even worse. When I called her that night, crying from pain and loneliness in that hospital bed, she sighed like I was bothering her. Mama, I told you Atlanta is too far for me to be running back and forth. I've got my own family to take care of. Jerome just got promoted. The boys are in travel basketball. I can't just drop everything. I'm not asking you to drop everything, I whispered. I need my daughter. You're being selfish, Alicia said, her voice cold. You always do this. Make everything about you. I'll try to come for a weekend next month, but that's the best I can do. She didn't come that weekend, or any weekend after. Sister Ruth from church, bless her heart, was the one who saved me. She organized the Sisters of Service ministry, and different church ladies took turns checking on me, bringing me food, driving me to appointments. Women who weren't even blood relatives showed me more love than my own children. Your kids must be so busy, Sister Ruth said one afternoon, unpacking groceries in my kitchen. She was trying to be kind, give them the benefit of the doubt. Too busy for their mama, I said quietly. Sister Ruth squeezed my hand. The Lord sees everything, Loretta. Everything. By April, I was back on my feet, walking with a cane, but independent. I'd spent those months thinking a lot about what family really meant. That's when Uncle Earl's lawyer called. Mrs. Hayes, he said, I've been trying to reach you for months. Your Uncle Earl passed away last year, and you're the sole beneficiary of his estate. I nearly dropped the phone. He explained it all. The properties Uncle Earl had bought in the 1960s and 70s, the tech companies that had bought that land, the investments he'd made, the life insurance policies, $12 million. This can't be real, I whispered. It's very real, Mrs. Hayes. The estate has cleared probate. The money will be transferred to your account within 30 days. I'm emailing you all the documentation now. I sat in my living room for hours after that call, just staring at the walls. Walls I'd painted myself because I couldn't afford to hire someone. Furniture I'd bought secondhand and refurbished. A life built on sacrifice and making do. And now this. My first instinct was to call Brandon and Alicia, share the blessing. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way Brandon had looked at me in that hospital, like I was an inconvenience. Maybe it was the way Crystal had scrolled through her phone while I begged for basic help. Maybe it was Alicia calling me selfish for needing my own daughter. Or maybe it was what happened at Easter. I'd invited everyone to my house for Easter dinner, like I'd done every year for decades. I'd spent 3 days cooking: ham, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, cornbread, sweet potato pie, pound cake. My hip still ached, but I'd pushed through because family was supposed to gather on holidays. Brandon and Crystal showed up 2 hours late with Kyla and Isaiah. Sorry, Mom, Brandon said, not sounding sorry at all. Crystal's open house ran long. They ate quickly, barely talking to me. Crystal spent the whole time on her phone. When I asked Kyla about school, Crystal cut in. Don't bother Grandma with boring stories, baby. She's tired. I wasn't tired. I wanted to hear my grandbaby talk about her 4th grade class. After 30 minutes, Brandon stood up. We need to head out. We've got another thing. Another thing? I asked. It's Easter Sunday. I haven't seen you all in weeks. Mom, don't start. Brandon's voice had that edge to it, the one that said I was being difficult. We came. Didn't we? We're here. They left half the food on their plates. Didn't help clean up. Didn't even say a proper goodbye to me. They were too busy hustling the kids out the door. I stood at my window, watching their expensive SUV drive away, and something inside me just broke. Or maybe it didn't break. Maybe it finally woke up. I called my new lawyer, Mr. Kenneth Thompson, a sharp brother who specialized in estate planning, the next morning. I need to protect my assets, I told him. And I need to do it in a way that my children don't know about yet. Tell me everything, he said. I did. I told him about the inheritance, about my children's neglect, about how I'd been treated like a burden instead of their mother. Mrs. Hayes, Mr. Thompson said carefully, I need to ask you something important. Do you believe your children would treat you better if they knew about this money? I thought about that for a long moment, really thought about it. Yes, I finally said. They'd treat me better, but not because they loved me, because they wanted something from me. That's what I needed to hear, he said. Let's make sure you're protected. We set up trusts, changed my will, protected my assets, Made sure that no matter what happened, my money couldn't be touched by anyone but me. And after I was gone, it would go where I wanted it to go. Not necessarily to ungrateful children. Over the next few months, I watched carefully. I tested them in small ways. In May, I called Brandon and mentioned that my roof was leaking. Just mentioned it, didn't ask for money. "Well, you should probably get that fixed," he said. "There are some good contractors online. I can send you a link." He had $1 million house. I'd helped him with that down payment 6 years ago, given him $20,000 from my retirement savings. He couldn't even offer to help with a leaking roof. In June, I told Alicia I was thinking about taking a trip, maybe a cruise, something I'd always wanted to do. "That sounds nice, Mama," she said, distracted. "You should do that." "Would you want to come with me?" I asked. "We could spend some time together. Mother-daughter trip." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Mama, I can't afford a cruise right now. We just redid the kitchen. Maybe when I'm retired like you." She'd just posted pictures on Facebook of her family's vacation to Disney World. 5 days at a deluxe resort. But she couldn't afford a few days with her mother. Then came September, my 72nd birthday. No call from Brandon until 3 days later. "Sorry, Mom, work has been crazy." Alicia texted, "Happy belated, things have been hectic." No card, no visit, nothing. Sister Ruth and the church ladies threw me a surprise birthday party at the church fellowship hall. They'd pooled their money, these women who had far less than my children, and bought me a beautiful shawl and a gift certificate to a nice restaurant. I cried. Not sad tears, grateful tears. "You deserve people who see you," Sister Ruth said, hugging me tight. "Don't you ever forget that." I won't lie. There were moments I almost told them about the money. Moments I thought maybe I was being unfair, testing them like this. But then October happened. Crystal called me out of the blue. This was unusual. Crystal never called me. "Loretta," she said, not even Mom or Mother Hayes. Just my first name. "Brandon and I are looking at investment properties. We found this amazing opportunity, but we're short on the down payment. We need about $50,000. Can you help us out?" My heart started pounding. $50,000? "It's an investment," Crystal said, her voice smooth like she was selling me real estate. "You get it back plus interest. We're family. This is what families do." "I don't have $50,000, Crystal." "Come on, Loretta. You own your house outright. You've got retirement savings. You could take out a home equity loan or something. This is a chance for our family to build wealth." Our family. She meant her and Brandon, not me. "I need to think about it," I said. "Don't think too long," Crystal said. And now her voice had an edge. "This opportunity won't last forever." I talked to Mr. Thompson that afternoon. "Don't give them a penny," he said firmly. "Mrs. Hayes, this is exactly what I warned you about. They smell money somewhere. Maybe they don't know about the inheritance specifically, but they sense you have resources." "But what if it's legitimate?" I asked. "What if they really do have an investment opportunity?" "Then they can get a legitimate loan from a bank," Mr. Thompson said. "You are not a bank. You are their mother, and they've treated you poorly. Don't let guilt make you foolish." I told Crystal no. She didn't take it well. "You're being selfish, Loretta. We're trying to build something here, and you won't even help your own son. Brandon has given you so much over the years." Given me so much? I'd given him life. Raised him, sacrificed for him, helped him buy his house. And he'd given me what? Neglect? Excuses? But I didn't say any of that. I just said, "I'm sorry, Crystal. I can't do it." She hung up without saying goodbye. Brandon called an hour later. "Mom, what's this about you refusing to help us?" "I don't have that kind of money to spare, Brandon." "Mom, come on. You're sitting on all that equity. You're being stingy." Stingy. He called me stingy. I said no, Brandon. Fine. His voice turned cold. We'll remember this, Mom. We'll remember who was there for us and who wasn't. The irony would have been funny if it didn't hurt so much. After that, they barely spoke to me. Weeks would go by without a call. When I called them, I got short answers and quick excuses to get off the phone. November came, Thanksgiving. I called Brandon on Monday before Thanksgiving. Are we doing Thanksgiving at my house this year? I can start planning the menu. Silence on the other end. Then, Mom, we're actually going to Crystal's parents' house this year. They invited us and we said yes. Oh, I said, my heart sinking. You didn't think to tell me? Or invite me? It's just going to be her family, Mom. You'd feel out of place. I'm your mother, Brandon. I wouldn't feel out of place with my own grandchildren. Mom, please don't make this difficult. We're going to her parents. That's final. What about Alicia? I asked. She's coming to Chicago. We always spend Thanksgiving together. Alicia's actually going there too, Brandon said. Crystal's mom invited her and her family. It's going to be nice. A big family gathering. A big family gathering without me. I spent Thanksgiving with Sister Ruth and her family. They welcomed me with open arms, made me feel loved. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't my children, my grandchildren. That night, I saw the photos on Facebook. Brandon had tagged everyone. There they all were. Crystal's whole family. Brandon, the kids, Alicia, her husband Jerome, their boys. Everyone laughing, eating, celebrating. The caption said, "Grateful for family today. #blessed, #family first." I wasn't in a single photo. It was like I didn't exist. That's when I knew. Really knew. This wasn't about me being difficult, or them being busy. This was about them deciding I wasn't important anymore. I'd served my purpose, raised them, helped them, sacrificed for them. And now I was disposable. December rolled around and my phone stayed quiet. No calls asking about Christmas plans. Nothing. Until last week. I was at Sister Ruth's house for our Bible study when my phone buzzed, a text from Brandon. Hey Mom, quick question. Do you have our Christmas gift yet? Crystal wants to coordinate so we don't get duplicates. That was it. That was the first contact in weeks. Not, how are you? Not, we miss you. Just demanding to know about their Christmas gift. I didn't respond right away. I sat with it, let it marinate. The next day, I made a decision that had been building for months. I called Mr. Thompson. I want to throw a Christmas party, I said. A big one. Spare no expense. I want to celebrate with the people who've actually been there for me. I love it, Mr. Thompson said. What's your budget? Whatever it takes to do it right, I said. Book the fellowship hall at church. Hire caterers. Good ones. None of that cheap buffet stuff. Get a real photographer. Music, decorations, the works. I want it to be beautiful. Consider it done, Mrs. Hayes. Over the next week, I invited everyone who'd shown me real love this year. Sister Ruth and her family, the other ladies from the Sisters of Service Ministry, my hairdresser Denise, who always made time to listen to me talk, my physical therapist Marcus, who'd encouraged me through my recovery, my neighbor Mrs. Washington, who'd been checking on me for 30 years. Good people. Real people. People who'd shown up. I didn't invite Brandon. I didn't invite Alicia. Then yesterday, Brandon texted again. Mom, the gift thing? Crystal's getting annoyed that you haven't answered. I typed back, I'll bring something when I see you for Christmas. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally, Mom, we need to talk. Call me. I called. I don't even know why. Maybe some part of me still hoped. Mom, Brandon said, and I could hear Crystal in the background. We've been talking, and we think it's best if you don't come to Christmas this year. My breath caught. What? Look, it's been a really stressful year. Crystal's family will be there, and after that whole Thanksgiving thing where you made everyone feel guilty for not including you, I didn't make anyone feel guilty. Mom, let me finish. We just want a peaceful Christmas with the family. The kids are already anxious because of all the tension. It's better if you sit this one out. I'm their grandmother, I said. I'm your mother. And you're acting like this is all about you. Crystal's voice came through now. She must have grabbed the phone. Brandon and I are trying to create a stable, drama-free environment for our children. Your neediness is exhausting, Loretta. Every holiday you make everything about you and what you're not getting. We're done with it. I haven't asked you for anything, I said, my voice shaking now. I've only wanted to be included. That's the problem, Crystal said. You always want to be included. You can't just let us have our own family time. You're not the center of the universe. Brandon got back on. Mom, just take this Christmas for yourself. Do something nice. We'll see you in the new year, okay? Don't make this harder than it needs to be. That's when the text came. The one I told you about at the beginning. Mom, we've talked about this. Crystal and I just want a peaceful Christmas with the family this year. The kids need stability. All your drama is too much. It's better if you don't come. I replied, enjoy. And I meant it. Let them enjoy their peaceful, drama-free Christmas without the woman who gave them life. This morning, I woke up to another text from Alicia. Mama, Brandon told me what happened. I think you're overreacting, but it's probably for the best. Jerome's family has been wanting us to spend more time with them anyway. Maybe this year everyone should just do their own thing. My own daughter, co-signing my exclusion. I deleted the text. Then I looked at my calendar. My Christmas party was scheduled for Christmas Eve, tomorrow night. Everything was planned. The food was ordered. The fellowship hall was decorated. My real family would be there. My phone rang. Brandon's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Mom, Brandon's voice was tight. Crystal just told me something. She says you've been acting weird lately. Like you've got money or something. She saw you getting your hair done at that expensive salon last week and you were wearing a new coat. Where are you getting money for stuff like that? There it was. Crystal had been watching me, noticing things. The truth was, I had gotten my hair done at a nicer salon. I had bought a new coat, a beautiful wool one that actually fit right. I'd started treating myself to small things, because why shouldn't I? I'd spent 72 years putting everyone else first. My money is my business, Brandon, I said calmly. So you do have money. His voice changed, got sharper. Mom, if you've got money somewhere hiding it from us while we're over here struggling... Struggling? I couldn't help it. I laughed, a bitter, tired laugh. Brandon, you and Crystal live in a $500,000 house. You drive luxury cars. You take vacations. That's not struggling. We have expenses, Mom. 2 kids in private school. Crystal's business overhead. My student loans. Just because we look comfortable doesn't mean we are. And if you've got resources you're hiding from your own family... My family, I interrupted, is spending Christmas Eve tomorrow night at my church. With people who actually love me. Not people who only call when they want something. Silence. Then, what are you talking about? I'm having a Christmas party, Brandon, a real one, with real people who've shown me real love this year. You're not invited. He sputtered. You're throwing a party and not inviting your own children? You uninvited me first, I said. I'm just following your lead. Having a peaceful Christmas with my real family. Mom, this is ridiculous. Cancel that party. We'll make space for you at our Christmas. Crystal won't like it, but I don't want space made for me, Brandon, I said, and my voice was steel now. I want to be wanted. There's a difference. Enjoy your peaceful Christmas. I hung up. 20 minutes later, Alicia called. Mama, what is this about a party? Brandon just called me all worked up. What's going on? I'm celebrating Christmas with people who care about me, I said simply. Mama, you're being petty. We're your children. Then act like it, I said, and hung up again. My phone started blowing up, texts from both of them, calls that I declined. Finally, one text from Brandon that made me smile. Fine, have your little party. But don't come crying to us when you need something. We're done, Mom. Done. Done. They were done with me. The irony was almost perfect. Tomorrow night, my real family would gather. We'd eat good food, share stories, laugh, celebrate the true meaning of Christmas. I'd already arranged for a photographer to take pictures, and I planned to post every single one of those pictures on Facebook. Let them see. Let them see me happy without them. Let them see me surrounded by love and abundance. They had no idea what was coming. I looked at my phone one more time before setting it down. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve. My party started at 6. I couldn't wait. Christmas Eve morning, I woke up with a peace I hadn't felt in months, maybe years. I made myself a proper breakfast, scrambled eggs with cheese, turkey sausage, grits, fresh orange juice. I ate slowly, sitting at my kitchen table, watching the snow fall outside my window. When was the last time I'd just sat, enjoyed a moment without worrying about someone else's needs? My phone buzzed. A text from Sister Ruth. Getting my hair done at 2. Can't wait for tonight. Should I bring my good camera? I smiled and typed back. The photographer will handle it, but bring it anyway. I want lots of pictures. Another buzz. This time from Denise, my hairdresser. Girl, I still can't believe you're doing this. You're going to look like royalty tonight. I'm bringing my cousin. You said I could bring a +1, right? Of course. The more the merrier. My phone stayed busy all morning with messages from people confirming they were coming, asking what they could bring, expressing excitement. Real excitement. Not obligation. Not guilt. Nobody from my children. Good. At noon, I drove to the church. The fellowship hall had been transformed. Mr. Thompson's event planner had outdone herself. The whole space glittered with gold and silver decorations. There was a 12-foot Christmas tree in the corner, professionally decorated with white lights and elegant ornaments. Round tables covered in cream-colored linens surrounded a dance floor. A stage was set up for the live band I'd hired, a jazz quartet that played at the best venues downtown. The catering crew was already setting up the buffet stations. I'd ordered everything: honey-glazed ham, prime rib, lobster tails, crab cakes, macaroni and cheese made with 4 different cheeses, collard greens cooked in smoked turkey, candied yams, cornbread dressing, fresh rolls, and a dessert table that looked like something from a magazine. Red velvet cake, sweet potato pie, peach cobbler, bread pudding, chocolate truffles. Mrs. Hayes, the event planner, a young sister named Jasmine, rushed over. What do you think? It's perfect, I said, my voice catching. It's absolutely perfect. Wait until you see the gift bags, she said, grinning. Each guest is getting a custom gift bag with gourmet chocolates, a donation made in their name to the church's youth ministry, and a personalized ornament. Your lawyer spared no expense. I walked through the space, touching the decorations, imagining how it would feel in a few hours when it was filled with laughter and music and love. This was my Christmas, my celebration, with my real family. At 3 o'clock, I went home to get ready. I'd bought a new dress for the occasion, a deep burgundy velvet gown that fell just below my knees. Elegant, sophisticated. It had cost more than any piece of clothing I'd owned in my entire life, and I didn't feel guilty about it. Not one bit. I did my makeup carefully, put on the pearl earrings my mother had left me, and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked happy. That's what I saw. Not just dressed up. Happy. My phone rang. Brandon's name appeared. I declined the call. He called again. Declined. A text. Mom, we need to talk. This is important. Call me back. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and dropped it in my purse. At 5:30, I arrived back at the church. People were already starting to arrive, and the photographer I'd hired, a professional who did weddings and corporate events, was setting up his equipment. Mrs. Hayes! Sister Ruth rushed over and hugged me tight. She was wearing a beautiful emerald green dress, her silver hair styled in elegant curls. Look at you! Look at this place! Girl, you did your thing! Other guests started arriving. Mrs. Washington from next door with her daughter and grandchildren. The ladies from Sisters of Service, all dressed in their Sunday best. Marcus, my physical therapist, with his wife. Denise and her cousin. Pastor Williams and his wife. By 6:15, the fellowship hall was packed with nearly 80 people. The jazz quartet started playing, and the energy in the room was electric. People were eating, laughing, dancing, taking pictures. Speech! Speech! Someone called out. The crowd took up the chant. Sister Ruth handed me the microphone. I stood there for a moment, looking at all these faces. People who'd shown up for me when it mattered. People who'd loved me without expecting anything in return. I want to thank you all for being here tonight, I started, my voice strong and clear. This year has been difficult. I've learned some hard lessons about what family really means, and I've learned that family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who loves you when you can't give them anything but yourself. I saw people nodding, some wiping their eyes. Each one of you showed up for me this year when I needed it most. You brought me food when I was recovering. You drove me to appointments. You called to check on me. You made me laugh when I wanted to cry. You reminded me that I'm not alone in this world. My voice got stronger. So tonight, we're not just celebrating Christmas. We're celebrating love. Real love. The kind that doesn't keep score. The kind that doesn't ask, what's in it for me? We're celebrating family. The family we choose and the family that chooses us. The room erupted in applause and amen-s. Now let's eat, dance, and enjoy this beautiful night together. The photographer moved through the crowd, capturing everything. Groups of people posing together. The dessert table. The decorations. He took dozens of photos of me, with Sister Ruth, with the church ladies, with Pastor Williams, standing by the Christmas tree, laughing with a glass of sparkling cider. Around 8 o'clock, Sister Ruth pulled out her phone. Loretta, we need to get some photos for social media. Let people see how blessed you are. We took selfies, group photos, pictures of the food, the decorations, the band. Sister Ruth posted them immediately to Facebook with the caption, Christmas Eve celebration with our sister Loretta Hayes. What a beautiful night of love, joy, and real family. Hashtag blessed, hashtag real love, hashtag Christmas joy. I posted some too. Photos of the elegant setup, the crowd of smiling faces, me in my beautiful dress looking happier than I'd been in years. I tagged the location, Emmanuel Baptist Church Fellowship Hall. I didn't tag Brandon or Alicia, didn't mention them at all. At 8:30, I turned off Do Not Disturb to check the time. My phone exploded. Notifications flooded the screen. Missed calls, 23. Text messages, 41. Facebook notifications, endless. Most of the calls were from Brandon, but there were also calls from Crystal, from Alicia, from Jerome, Alicia's husband, even from Crystal's mother. The texts were frantic. Brandon, Mom, where are you? Brandon, call me right now. Brandon, what is this party? How did you pay for this? Crystal, Loretta, we need to talk immediately. Alicia, Mama, what is going on? Brandon is losing his mind. Call us. Brandon, Mom, I'm seeing these pictures. Is that lobster? Who paid for all this? Crystal, you told us you didn't have money. You lied to us. I turned my phone back off and put it in my purse. Tonight was about joy, not their drama. At 9 o'clock, the party was still going strong. People were dancing, the kids were playing games in the corner, and the dessert table had been refreshed. That's when the doors to the fellowship hall burst open. Brandon and Crystal stood in the doorway, both breathing hard like they'd been running. Behind them, Alicia and Jerome pushed through. The music didn't stop, but people near the door turned to look. Brandon's eyes scanned the room, taking in the decorations, the food, the band, the photographer, the crowd of well-dressed guests. His face went from red to purple. "Mom!" he shouted across the room. Everyone stopped. The music trailed off. All eyes turned to me. I stood there in my burgundy dress, a glass of sparkling cider in my hand, surrounded by Sister Ruth and the church ladies. "Brandon," I said calmly. "Alicia, what are you doing here?" They pushed through the crowd toward me. Crystal's face was twisted with fury. Alicia looked confused and angry. "What are we doing here?" Brandon's voice was shaking. "What is this? How did you pay for all this?" "I'm celebrating Christmas with my family," I said simply. "Your family?" Crystal stepped forward, her voice sharp. "We're your family, your son, your daughter, your grandchildren." "Where are Kyla and Isaiah?" I asked, looking past them. "Did you leave them alone on Christmas Eve to come yell at me?" Brandon's jaw clenched. "They're with Crystal's parents. We needed to talk to you, now." Pastor Williams approached, his presence commanding. "Excuse me, but this is a private event. If you're going to cause a disruption." "This is between us and our mother," Alicia said, her voice tight. "Your mother?" Sister Ruth said, stepping forward. "Who you told not to come to Christmas. Your mother, who you've neglected all year. Your mother, who you only seem to remember when you want something." Crystal's face flushed. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about," Sister Ruth said. "I'm the one who took her to physical therapy appointments. I'm the one who brought her dinner when she was recovering. Where were you?" "This isn't your business," Brandon said, his voice cold. "You made it everyone's business when you burst in here disrupting a peaceful gathering," Pastor Williams said firmly. "Now I suggest you either calm down and speak respectfully or leave." Brandon took a breath, clearly trying to control himself. He turned back to me. "Mom, we need to talk, privately, now." "Anything you need to say, you can say in front of my family," I said. "Fine." Brandon's eyes were hard. "Where did you get the money for all this? The dress, the party, the catering? This had to cost thousands of dollars." "You told us you didn't have money. You refused to help us with a legitimate investment opportunity, but you can throw some elaborate party?" "My finances are my business," I said calmly. "Not when you lied to us," Crystal shouted. "You told us you were broke." "I never said I was broke," I corrected. "I said I couldn't give you $50,000. There's a difference." Alicia stepped forward, her voice softer but still upset. "Mama, just tell us what's going on. Did you take out a loan for this? Are you in debt? We're worried about you." I looked at my daughter, saw the calculation in her eyes even as she tried to sound concerned. "I'm not in debt," I said. "I'm actually doing quite well, better than I've ever been, in fact." "So you do have money," Brandon said. "And you've been hiding it from us. Your own children." "I haven't been hiding anything," I said. "You never asked how I was doing. You never asked about my life. You only called when you wanted something." The photographer, bless him, was quietly documenting all of this. I'd told him to capture everything, and he was. Crystal's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face changed, went pale. "I have to take this," she said, stepping away. We all watched as she answered, listened, and her face crumpled. "What? No, that can't be. When? How much?" She hung up and turned to Brandon, her eyes wide with panic. "That was the bank, the investment property. The deal fell through. The deposit is non-refundable. We're out $80,000. Brandon's face went white. What? The sellers found another buyer. They're keeping our earnest money. Brandon, we don't have $80,000 to lose. That was everything. The kids' college fund, the business reserve, everything. My eyes narrowed. You put down $80,000 on an investment property? Where did you get that kind of money? Brandon wouldn't meet my eyes. We took out a loan. Against what? I asked, though I was starting to suspect. The house, he admitted. A home equity loan. We were sure this investment would pay off. The returns were supposed to be huge. We could have doubled our money in 6 months. You bet your children's home on a risky investment? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Alicia's phone rang. She looked at the screen and cursed under her breath. It's Jerome's boss. She answered, and we watched her face change too. What? Fired? But why? The project wasn't his fault. You can't just... Yes, I understand. She hung up, tears streaming down her face. Jerome was fired. They blamed him for the project failure. Mama, we're in trouble, real trouble. Jerome's salary was everything. We've got the mortgage, the boys' private school tuition for next semester, car payments. Both my children stood there, falling apart. And something in me wanted to fix it. To make it better. That's what mothers do, right? But then I remembered. Remembered Brandon telling me not to come for Christmas. Remembered Crystal calling me selfish. Remembered Alicia saying I was overreacting. Remembered all the times I'd needed them and they weren't there. That's terrible, I said quietly. I'm sorry you're going through that. Brandon looked at me, hope flickering in his eyes. Mom, you have to help us. If you've got money, why would I have to help you? I asked. Because we're your children, Alicia cried. Because family helps family. Family, I repeated slowly. Like how you helped me when I broke my hip? Like how you spent Thanksgiving with me? Like how you invited me to Christmas? Mom, this is different. No, it's not, I interrupted. You want my help now that you need something. But where were you when I needed you? Not money, not even practical help. I just needed you to show up, to care, to remember that I'm your mother. Crystal lunged forward. You have money. We know you do. This party, your new clothes, everything. You came into money somehow and you've been hiding it from us. Even if I did, I said, my voice cold now. Why would it be yours? I worked my entire life. I raised you alone. I sacrificed everything for you. And the moment I couldn't give you something, you cut me out of your lives. You uninvited me from Christmas. You told me I was too much drama. You said you were done with me. We didn't mean it like that, Brandon said desperately. Then how did you mean it? I asked. Because from where I'm standing, you made your feelings very clear. I was disposable. Until you needed something. Sister Ruth squeezed my hand. The whole room was silent, watching. Jerome appeared in the doorway, his face haggard. Alicia, we need to go. Your mother called. She's having chest pains. The ambulance... What? Alicia spun around. Mama's sick? Your mother? I asked. Your mother who you spent Thanksgiving with? Alicia's face flushed with guilt. Mama, I need to... She needs me. Can we talk about this later? Of course, I said. Family emergencies come first. The bitterness in my voice was clear. Alicia and Jerome rushed out. Brandon turned back to me, desperation clear in his eyes now. Mom, please. $80,000. We're going to lose the house. Kyla and Isaiah will have to change schools. Everything we've built. Everything you built? I said softly. Without me. You built a life that didn't include your mother unless she was useful. Now you're in trouble and suddenly I matter again? It's not like that. It's exactly like that, Brandon. My voice was firm. You told me not to come to Christmas. You said I was too much drama. You said you were done. Well, I'm holding you to that. Mom, no, I said. For once, I'm putting myself first. The way you've been putting yourselves first for years. How does it feel? To need someone and have them turn their back on you? Crystal's face was ugly with rage. You're a bitter old woman, that's what you are. Throwing money around at strangers while your own family suffers. What kind of mother does that? The kind of mother, I said quietly, who her children decided wasn't worth a place at the Christmas table. Pastor William stepped forward. I think it's time for you to leave. Brandon's phone started ringing, then Crystal's. They both answered, and I watched as they had what looked like increasingly frantic conversations. When they hung up, Brandon looked like he might be sick. That was our realtor, with the home equity loan defaulting if we can't make next month's payment. Mom, we could lose everything within 3 months. Then I guess you'd better figure something out, I said. The same way I had to figure things out when you weren't there for me. Mom, please. Brandon was begging now, actually begging. I'm sorry, we're sorry. We treated you badly, we know that. But please, don't punish Kyla and Isaiah for our mistakes. That hit differently. My grandbabies. I must have shown something on my face because Brandon pressed forward. They're innocent in all this. They miss you. Kyla cries about not seeing you. Isaiah asks about you all the time. We told them you were sick, but, Mom, please, if not for us, for them. My heart ached. I missed those babies so much. But Mr. Thompson's voice echoed in my head. They'll use your grandchildren as leverage. Don't fall for it. If you cared about your children's well-being, I said slowly, you wouldn't have gambled their security on a risky investment. You wouldn't have leveraged their home. These consequences are yours, Brandon, not mine. You're really going to let us lose everything? Crystal's voice was venomous now. Let your grandchildren become homeless? You're not going to be homeless, I said. You'll figure it out. Get jobs, real jobs, budget, live within your means. The same things I had to do my entire life while raising 2 children alone. This isn't over, Crystal said, grabbing Brandon's arm. Come on, we'll get a lawyer. If she has money, we have rights. Actually, a voice spoke from near the entrance. You don't. Everyone turned. Mr. Kenneth Thompson stood there in an impeccable suit, his briefcase in hand. Mr. Thompson, I said, smiling. Thank you for coming. Wouldn't miss it, Mrs. Hayes. He approached, his presence commanding. He looked at Brandon and Crystal. I'm Kenneth Thompson, Mrs. Hayes' attorney, and I want to be very clear about something. Mrs. Hayes' financial affairs are private and protected. Any attempt to access her assets without her permission will be met with legal action. Am I understood? Brandon's face went red. She's our mother. We have a right. You have no rights to her money, Mr. Thompson said flatly. None. And if you continue to harass her, we will pursue a restraining order. Restraining order? Brandon looked like he'd been slapped. Mom, you wouldn't. I would do what I need to do to protect myself, I said. The same way you did what you needed to do when you uninvited me from Christmas. My phone started ringing in my purse, and ringing, and ringing. Sister Ruth pulled it out. Loretta, you've got... Honey, you've got 73 missed calls. 73. Most of them from Brandon and Crystal and Alicia, Sister Ruth continued, scrolling. Some from numbers you don't have saved. Some from... Wait, is this Crystal's mother? Her father? Loretta, they're all calling you. Let them call, I said. Brandon's phone rang again. He answered, listened, and his face went from red to gray. No, we can't. I understand. Yes, goodbye. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. That was the private school. If we don't pay next semester's tuition by January 2nd, Kyla and Isaiah are out. Mom, that's $28,000. We don't have it. The bank won't give us another loan. Our credit cards are maxed. Mom, please. I'm begging you, please. Everyone in the room was watching, waiting to see what I would do. I looked at my son, my firstborn, the baby I'd loved with every fiber of my being, and I said, "No." The word hung in the air. "No?" Brandon repeated, like he couldn't believe it. "No," I said again, firmer this time. "You made your choices, Brandon. You chose to exclude me. You chose to see me as a burden. You chose to gamble your family's security. These are your consequences. I won't rescue you from them." "You're choosing money over your own grandchildren," Crystal hissed. "I'm choosing myself," I said, "for the first time in my life. And if you actually loved your children, you'd find a way to take care of them without exploiting your mother." Brandon stood there, shaking. Then, without another word, he turned and walked out. Crystal followed, but not before shooting me a look of pure hatred. The doors closed behind them. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Pastor Williams started clapping. Slowly at first, then others joined in. Soon the whole room was applauding. Sister Ruth hugged me tight. "That took strength, honey, real strength." "Play music," I told the band. "We're here to celebrate." The jazz quartet started up again. People returned to their conversations, their food, their dancing. But I stood there, watching the door, and wondered if I'd just made the worst mistake of my life. Or the best one. Mr. Thompson approached, his voice low. "Mrs. Hayes, they're going to come back. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. Are you prepared for that?" "I don't know," I admitted. "But I'm tired of being used. I'm tired of being taken for granted." "Good," he said. "Stay strong. What you're doing, setting boundaries, protecting yourself, it's not selfish. It's necessary." My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Message after message. Call after call. Finally, I turned it completely off. Tonight was about joy. About celebrating with people who loved me. Tomorrow, I could deal with the fallout. The party went on until midnight. When everyone finally left, they hugged me, thanked me, told me how beautiful the night had been. Sister Ruth was one of the last to leave. "You okay, honey?" "I'm okay," I said, and I meant it. I drove home in the quiet darkness, my beautiful dress rustling in the silence. When I got to my house, there was a car parked in my driveway, Brandon's SUV. My heart sank. The driver's door opened and Brandon stepped out, but he wasn't alone. Crystal got out of the passenger side, and from the back, Kyla and Isaiah emerged, both in their pajamas, looking confused and sleepy. "Grandma?" Kyla called out, her voice uncertain. Brandon walked toward me, and in the porch light I could see his face clearly. He'd been crying. "Mom," he said, his voice broken. "Please. I'm not leaving until we talk. Really talk, me and you. Please." I looked at my grandbabies, shivering in the cold December night. And despite everything, I couldn't turn them away. "Come inside," I said quietly. As we walked toward my door, my phone, even though it was off, seemed to hum with all those missed calls. 73 times they'd tried to reach me tonight. 73 times they'd needed me. But how many times had I needed them? I unlocked my door, and my family, broken, desperate, and finally seeing me, followed me inside. Whatever came next, I knew one thing for certain. I was done being invisible. We sat in my living room, me in my armchair, Brandon and Crystal on the couch, Kyla and Isaiah curled up on either side of them, trying to stay awake. Nobody spoke for a long minute. Finally, Brandon broke the silence. "Mom, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago." I waited. "I've been jealous of you," he said, his voice cracking. "My whole adult life, I've been jealous of how strong you are. How you raised us alone, worked those long shifts, never complained, never broke down. You made it look easy, and I I resented that. Because I can't do what you did. I'm struggling with 2 kids and a wife and a good job, and you did it all alone with less. Crystal stiffened beside him, but didn't interrupt. When you broke your hip and needed help, I panicked, Brandon continued, because I knew if I really showed up for you the way you showed up for me my whole life, I'd have to face how selfish I'd become, how much I'd taken and never given back. So I convinced myself you were being dramatic, that you didn't really need me, that you'd be fine. Tears were streaming down his face now. And then, when you recovered without us, I felt relieved, and then ashamed of feeling relieved. And that shame turned into anger at you for making me feel guilty just by existing. Brandon, I started. Let me finish, he said. Please. Crystal's parents have always treated me like I wasn't good enough, like I came from nothing, and I've spent our whole marriage trying to prove them wrong, trying to show them I could be successful, build wealth, give their grandchildren the best of everything. That investment property, Mom, it was supposed to be our big break, the thing that would finally make them respect me. He looked at me with red, swollen eyes, but all I did was prove them right. I'm my mother's son. I came from struggle, but instead of learning from you how to survive it with dignity, I ran from it. And now I've destroyed everything trying to run. Crystal was crying now too, quiet tears sliding down her face. Loretta, I owe you an apology, a real one. I've treated you terribly. I've seen you as competition for Brandon's attention, for his loyalty. I wanted him to choose me and our life over you, and I got what I wanted, but... She looked at her sleeping children. But at what cost? I sat there, absorbing their words. Part of me, the mother part, wanted to forgive them immediately, to fix everything, to write a check and make their problems disappear. But I thought of Mr. Thompson's words, "Don't let guilt make you foolish." I appreciate you saying all that, I said carefully. I do, but words are easy at 3 a.m. when you're desperate. What happens when you're not desperate anymore? Brandon flinched like I'd hit him. If I give you money tonight, I continued, will you suddenly become the son I needed this year? Or will you just be the son who got what he wanted? I don't know, Brandon said, and his honesty surprised me. I want to say I'd be different, but Mom, I haven't proven that. I haven't earned your trust. No, I agreed. You haven't. Crystal stood up suddenly. Come on, Brandon. We should go. We've said our piece. The ball's in her court now. But Brandon didn't move. Mom, can I ask you something? And will you be honest with me? I've always been honest with you. Do you have money? Real money? Uncle Earl's estate. Did it come through? I looked at him for a long moment. The truth was going to come out eventually anyway. Yes, I said simply. His face went through several emotions. Shock, hope, anger, confusion. How much? Enough that I'll never have to worry again, I said. Enough that I could help you, if I chose to. But you're choosing not to, Crystal said bitterly. I'm choosing to help myself first, I corrected. I'm choosing to set boundaries. I'm choosing to not enable people who've treated me poorly. Brandon stood up, gently lifting Isaiah. We should go. Mom, I don't know what else to say. Grandma? Kyla's sleepy voice interrupted. She was looking at me with those big brown eyes. Are you mad at Daddy? My heart broke a little. No, baby, I'm not mad. I'm learning to take care of myself. Like when you taught me to tie my shoes? Kyla asked. You said I had to learn to do it myself, even though it was hard. Out of the mouths of babes. Yes, I said softly. Just like that. They left. I watched their taillights disappear down the street and sat in the silence of my house. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I cried, really cried, for the relationship I wanted with my children but didn't have. for the years of sacrifice that seemed to mean nothing, for the grandmother I wanted to be, but couldn't be if it meant being used. Christmas morning, I went to church, the early service. Pastor Williams preached about family, about how sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family that sustains you, about how Jesus chose his disciples, created a family of believers. After service, Sister Ruth invited me to her house for Christmas dinner. "You're not spending today alone," she said firmly. So I didn't. I spent it surrounded by warmth and laughter, and people who genuinely wanted me there. My phone stayed off. The day after Christmas, I met with Mr. Thompson at his office. "They're going to sue you," he said without preamble. "I got a call from a lawyer this morning. Brandon and Crystal retained legal representation. They're claiming elder financial abuse, saying you're not mentally competent to manage your finances and they should be appointed as your conservators." I should have been shocked, but I wasn't. I was just tired. "What do we do?" I asked. "We fight," Mr. Thompson said. "And we win. You're clearly of sound mind. You've managed your affairs responsibly. The only evidence they have is that you won't give them money. That's not abuse, that's boundaries." Over the next 2 weeks, it got uglier. Brandon and Crystal filed for emergency conservatorship. They claimed I was showing signs of dementia, that I was being taken advantage of by church people, that my sudden spending was erratic and concerning. We had to appear in court. On January 8th, I walked into that courtroom with Mr. Thompson by my side, Sister Ruth in the gallery, and my children sitting across the aisle looking desperate and defeated. Their lawyer, a sharp-looking white man in an expensive suit, laid out their case. He showed photos of my Christmas party, claiming the expense was evidence of mental incompetence. He showed bank statements showing my recent spending, the hair salon, the new clothes, donations to the church. "Your Honor," he argued, "Mrs. Hayes has recently come into a significant sum of money, and rather than securing her future or helping her family, she's spending recklessly. Her children are concerned she's being manipulated and exploited." Then it was our turn. Mr. Thompson called me to the stand. "Mrs. Hayes," he said, "can you explain your financial decisions over the past few months?" I took a breath. I came into an inheritance from my uncle. For the first time in my 72 years, I had financial security. I decided to spend some of it celebrating with people who'd shown me love and kindness. I didn't consider that reckless. I considered it healing. "And your children's request for financial help?" They asked me to loan them $50,000 for an investment property. I declined because I didn't have confidence in their financial judgment. It turns out I was right. They lost $80,000 on that same investment. Murmurs in the courtroom. "Did your children show concern for your well-being before they learned about your inheritance?" "No," I said clearly. "They uninvited me from Christmas. They called me dramatic and needy. They only showed concern after they saw I'd spent money on a party." Mr. Thompson then called witnesses. Sister Ruth testified about how often she'd helped me when my children wouldn't. Marcus, my physical therapist, testified that I was sharp, engaged, and fully capable during my recovery. Pastor Williams testified about my involvement in the church, my volunteer work, my sound decision-making. Then Mr. Thompson called Dr. Patricia Okonkwo, a geriatric psychiatrist I'd been evaluated by the week before. "In your professional opinion," Mr. Thompson asked, "is Mrs. Hayes mentally competent?" "Absolutely," Dr. Okonkwo said firmly. "I conducted a full cognitive assessment. Mrs. Hayes scored in the 97th percentile for her age group. Her memory is excellent. Her judgment is sound. There is no evidence whatsoever of dementia, cognitive decline, or mental incompetence." Brandon's lawyer tried to cross-examine, but there was nothing to find. I was healthy. I was competent. I was just a woman who'd finally learned to say no. The judge, a black woman in her 60s who reminded me of myself, listened to everything. Then she spoke. "I've reviewed the evidence presented by both sides. I've heard the testimony, and I'm going to be very clear about my ruling. The courtroom went silent. Mrs. Hayes is demonstrably competent. She has made sound financial decisions. She has protected her assets appropriately. The fact that she chose not to give her adult children money they requested is not evidence of incompetence. It's evidence of good judgment. Brandon slumped in his seat. Furthermore, the judge continued, her voice taking on an edge, I find this lawsuit to be exactly what it appears to be, an attempt to access a parent's assets without consent. This court will not enable financial exploitation even when it's being attempted by family members. She looked directly at Brandon and Crystal. Your mother raised you, sacrificed for you, gave you opportunities. She does not owe you her retirement security. She does not owe you her inheritance. And the fact that you've attempted to have her declared incompetent simply because she won't fund your lifestyle is, frankly, disgraceful. Crystal was crying openly now. Petition for conservatorship denied, the judge said. This case is dismissed. Mrs. Hayes, you're free to manage your affairs as you see fit. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. I walked out of that courtroom with my head high. Outside, Brandon caught up with me. Crystal wasn't with him. Mom, he said. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Crystal pushed for the lawsuit, but I went along with it. I let my desperation make me into someone I don't recognize. Where are Kyla and Isaiah? I asked. With Crystal's parents. We're losing the house, Mom. We've got 30 days. We're going to move in with her parents until we can figure things out. And your wife? I asked. Brandon's jaw tightened. We're separated. She's staying with her parents too, but separately. She blames me for everything. Maybe she's right. What are you going to do? I got a job, he said. Nothing fancy. It's at a nonprofit downtown. It pays a third of what I was making, but it's honest work. Alicia helped me get it. Jerome's doing better, by the way. His old boss called him back, admitted they scapegoated him. So they're okay now. I'm glad, I said, and I meant it. Mom, I'm not asking for money, Brandon said. I just need you to know. I'm going to do better. I'm going to be the son you deserved, even if it takes the rest of my life to prove it. And if I never give you $1, I asked, will you still do better? He met my eyes. Yes, because I need to do it for me, for my kids, not for money. I nodded. Then you're already starting. 3 months later, I was sitting in Mr. Thompson's office again, signing papers. You're sure about this? He asked. I'm sure, I said. I'd made my decisions about my money, my real decisions. I'd set up trust funds for Kyla and Isaiah, funds they couldn't access until they turned 25, for education and getting started in life. Their parents couldn't touch it. I'd donated $1 million to Emmanuel Baptist Church's youth ministry and community programs. I'd set up a scholarship fund for nursing students at the community college where I'd gotten my degree 50 years ago. I'd bought Sister Ruth's house. She was behind on payments, and gifted it to her, free and clear. I'd traveled. I went to Paris, to Ghana, to the Caribbean, places I'd dreamed about my whole life, and I'd kept enough to live comfortably, independently, for the rest of my life. As for Brandon and Alicia, I didn't cut them off completely, but I didn't enable them either. Brandon invited me to Sunday dinner at his small apartment. He and Crystal were trying to reconcile, going to counseling. I went. It was awkward, but it was something. Alicia called every week now, short calls but consistent. She was trying. They were learning what I'd learned the hard way, that love isn't about what you can get from someone. It's about showing up, being present, earning trust over time. 6 months after that Christmas Eve party, I was sitting in my living room when my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Kyla and Isaiah standing there with Brandon. Grandma! Kyla threw her arms around me. Daddy says we can spend the whole day with you if you want. I looked at Brandon over their heads. He looked different, thinner, more tired, but somehow more at peace. I'm not bribing them, he said quietly. I'm not using them to manipulate you. I just thought, they miss their grandma, and I'm trying to do better. Come in, I said, stepping aside. We spent that day playing games, baking cookies, watching movies, just being together. No agenda, no tension, just family. When Brandon came to pick them up that evening, he lingered at the door. "Mom, thank you," he said, "for not giving up on us, even when we deserved it." "I didn't do it for you," I said honestly. "I did it for me, because I needed to know I could stand on my own, that I could choose myself." "And can you?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Finally, yes." He hugged me then. A real hug. Not a performative one, not one that wanted something. Just a hug. As I closed the door that night, I looked around my small, modest house. I could have bought a mansion, could have moved to a fancy neighborhood, could have draped myself in luxury. But I'd chosen to stay here, in the house where I'd raised my children, where I'd built my life. Because home wasn't about how much you spent on it. It was about knowing your worth. My phone buzzed. A text from Sister Ruth. "Bible study tomorrow night, don't forget." I smiled and typed back, "Wouldn't miss it." Because I'd learned something important this year. Something that 72 years had finally taught me. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose to show up for you, day after day, expecting nothing in return but your presence. Sometimes it's the church ladies who bring you soup, the pastor who defends you in court, the friends who celebrate with you not because you have money, but because they love who you are. And sometimes, if you're blessed, family is also your children, but only if they're willing to do the work, to show up, to earn their place not through biology, but through love. I'd spent my whole life taking care of everyone else, being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who sacrificed. Now, finally, I was taking care of me, and it felt like freedom. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No buzzing phone, no desperate calls, no guilt weighing me down, just peace. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Brandon. "Mom, Kyla has a school play next week. She wanted me to ask if you'd come. No pressure, just, she'd love to have you there." I typed back, "I'll be there, front row." Because that's what grandmas do. When they're invited, when they're wanted, when they're respected, not when they're used. I got dressed, made my breakfast, and looked at myself in the mirror. 72 years old, $12 million richer. But more than that, 12 million times wiser. I'd learned to say no. I'd learned to set boundaries. I'd learned that loving yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. And I'd learned that sometimes the best gift you can give your children is letting them face their own consequences, because that's how they grow into people worth knowing. I grabbed my purse and headed out the door. Sister Ruth and I were going shopping today. Then lunch at that nice restaurant downtown. Then maybe a movie. My life. My choices. My peace. And this time, nobody could take it away from me. As I drove down the street, past houses full of families getting ready for their days, I thought about that text message from Brandon all those months ago. "We just want a peaceful Christmas with the family. Don't come." He'd gotten his peaceful Christmas without me, and I'd gotten something even better. I'd gotten myself back. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.